Getting an early start on things today. Okay, so I finally decided to stop being lazy here and look up like land details on the Second Life website because I was really curious because I kept talking about it over and over again, but I never actually knew the numbers. So now we have the definitive last word right here. Okay, so if you want a full region, it costs you a 349 USD setup fee, and then it's $229 a month after that just to lease that land from Linden Labs. You can have 20,000 prims. That's pretty amazing, and up to 100 avatars, 100 avatars at a time. This is like what most people go with, at least from what I've witnessed, except for the really ambitious people. The Homestead. So that's like this is like the poor man's version of the full region. It's the same exact area. The only difference is you only get 5,000 prims max, and it's $109 a month with a setup fee of 149. And you can only have 20 avatars at a time, which seems pretty low to me. I guess if you have a full region, you can downgrade, or like, I don't know what this means, available to full region owners. Like, anyway. Yeah, and then there's this. This is kind of cool. These are the templates, like the basic templates that you can buy, like a volcano caldera with a little lake inside, uh, mountainous island, this thing, blob, ocean, 20 meters deep. I guess that just means there's a big piece of land at 20 meters underneath the water level, I guess. A totally flat region, and then another mountain, which honestly looks almost identical to this one, except less of a coastline. So those are the basics, and at least one full region is required before homesteads can be purchased. Man, I'm so confused by how this works. Like, yeah, I don't have any idea, like, how this works. The difference between a full region and a homestead. Yeah, anyway. I'm never gonna buy a private island because I'm super poor, but I just thought it was cool to actually have all these stats finally available for people who are curious. Uh, yeah, so, day 5. I have to just come right out and say it. I don't know what the hell's wrong with my video card. Maybe it's failing, but it's kind of like a ticking time bomb. So I just never know what's gonna kill it, and then suddenly my screens go gray and the stream ends, and I have to reboot my computer. So if I just suddenly stop and the stream freezes, that's what's happened. And I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't even afford to buy a new video card. Although what I should do, haha, Neo, you're complaining about not being able to afford a new video card, and yet you've got over 1 million Lindens. And like, yeah, what I should do is stop being a dumbass and cash a whole bunch of those Lindens out. Like, I got $4,000 worth of Lindens. I should cash them out and get a kick-ass new video card. So maybe I'll do that in the near future, but until then, yeah, it's kind of musical chairs here. I never know when my video card's gonna fail, so just be aware of that. And thank you for your patience. Haha. So yeah, day 5. When I woke up this morning, I was all excited. I was thinking about the last stream I did and how kind of like lame it was. Like, I didn't think it was one of my better streams, and I really was kind of disappointed with the sim that I went to. But then, the more I thought about it, I was like, I had a lot of fun anyway, and that was why I started doing this, and that's why I keep doing this. I've been the peculiar. God, pretty soon I'm going to be saying that about every sim. I'm going to be like, oh, I've been there already. I noticed one of my techniques when I'm like scanning the grid the ones that pop out to me tend to pop out recurrently because they're just different, in some way, like darker usually. So I tend to zoom in on those, and so it's only natural that I would, over time, sort of revisit ones that I've already singled out. However, I don't have to literally revisit them. I just have to be aware that I've already been to them, so I don't make redundant videos. But yeah, back on topic. I was thinking, let's see, what is this? Day 5? Yeah. So I I was kind of anxious that I would get really burned out quickly on doing this, but like I said this morning, I woke up all excited and I was like, man, I can't wait to get back into Second Life and explore another sim and do another video because I don't know, I just got really pumped up for like no good reason. So yeah, here I am again at 9:44, which actually isn't very early, but to me it's a little early on a Sunday because I usually kind of try to just relax because I do farm work, and so it's can be a lot of really early mornings and a lot of incredibly hard and drudgerous manual labor for the 5-day work week, and then I just really need my weekends to kind of unwind and recover. So yeah, just scanning the grid, looking for something. Wow, now that I've like price checked the islands, it's really like making me think a lot more about everything. Just like when I'm looking at these sims, they seem like slightly less frivolous to me now because it's like you really have to be devoted to making a virtual world and a virtual like paradise for yourself in a virtual world in order to spend that kind of money. I mean, that's like real life rent for a lot of people, especially in Europe, or like if you were in the third world, that would be like uh, a ridiculous amount of money. That's like baller money in like uh, Cambodia or Haiti. Yeah, it's crazy. You could probably support like a family of 14 in Haiti with the amount of money that you spend on a sim in Second Life. I'm just waiting for all the sims to res on the map. I don't know why they're so slow today. Even though I live in bumblefuck middle of nowhere, I actually have a pretty good internet connection because of my own like networking prowess. I kind of like customize my networking hardware and with my provider so that I could get a connection that would actually allow me to stream at a reasonable bit rate. So I would expect these to load a lot faster, but my instinct is that it's a grid bottleneck. Queen's Garden, huh? I'm really like tempted because I love gardens, especially in Second Life, but I'm just thinking it's going to be too ordinary. This is also kind of making me think that perhaps my strategy of looking for only the weirdest and most exceptional sims may not pan out in the long term because there can only be so many of those, like for every 50 garden variety sims, there might be one or two really fascinating, unique sims. So I might have to just start like lowering my standards a little and just going to whatever sim looks the most interesting. Right. One thing that I don't understand, this makes no sense to the spacing between these sims makes no sense at all. Like this giant area that is the grid, I can understand a one sim gap between sims because then there's a little bit of privacy. Like if you're right on the edge and you have your view distance to, let's see, let me bring up the preferences really quick so we can see, like, I don't even have my view distance set up all the way. Like, let's see, what does it go to? Draw distance. So right now I have it on 256 meters. You can have it up to 512. So I think that's the width of an entire sim, or half a sim. So if you're right on the edge here and you have the view distance set up to the max, I think you can't see across to the adjacent sim no matter how hard you try. So in that case, it's like, why are these the huge gaps between sims? Like, they could make the world map so much denser. Like, here we go, like this, you know, just like a equidistant grid with a one sim space. My guess would be that these gaps between all these sims are actually, well, it looks too regular for this theory, but I think at least in some areas, it's probably like there used to be a sim like here perhaps and here, and then those sims, like, people stopped paying their tier, and then those sims just disappeared, shut down, and they left these big gaps. But anyway, I don't know. I think it would be great if Linden Labs could somehow optimize the way their map system works so that it, I mean, this space is arbitrary, right? These big gaps, they're not like, there's no reason that the grid has to be rendered like this or that the world map has to be rendered like this. I feel like they could just render it like this with every sim basically within a one sim gap of every other sim, so that, in other words, the world map could be dramatically smaller and more concentrated, so you wouldn't have to be like scrolling all over the place to find sims. Although clearly most people aren't going to be using the world map for what I'm using it for right here and just browsing random sims. This is probably like a really weird use case. Normally people are just going to have their own favorite places bookmarked, and then they're just going to go to like their friend sims or whatever places they're already familiar with using the SLURL system instead of the world map. It's kind of weird that the world map even exists now that I think about it. Like, it's the only purpose to have this world map is for what I'm doing right now, exploring. I mean, really, can you think of any other reason why the world map would exist? I can't. My cats are like swarming me right now. They think they want breakfast or something. Okay, I was there just the other day. In fact, I think that was one of the last sims I visited. Sorry, I'm taking like way too long to pick a sim. I'm just like, my caffeine is still kicking in, I guess, and also I'm just like really obsessed with this idea of finding sims that are atypical. Probably just because I've done so much exploring in Second Life, and I've seen I mean, like, after you've seen like 101 lighthouses, it kind of gets a little old, and you want to see something new. Okay, fuck it. I'm gonna go to Nature Valley if I can. Classic Neo, rezzing underwater. Nature Valley, huh? I don't know. Kinda just seems like another beach paradise sim. Hey, there's some Torii arches. Kind of a hodgepodge so far. Looks sort of unfinished. I'm just like biting my lip thinking about my video card. I've got like my metrics overlay going on here to see like the temperature. I'm monitoring it really closely. It's like 4 degrees C right now. I don't know like what the tipping point is. It's anybody's guess. It's been up to like 50 C without dying though, so my suspicion is that it has something to do with like OpenGL or DirectX. I never had any problems with it until I updated my drivers, and I was gonna roll them back, but the way AMD, I mean, I gotta say I love AMD. I've always loved their drivers. A lot of people, and I'm sure Second Life OGs will know this already, but like back in the day, Linden Labs was kind of like, I wouldn't say partnered with NVIDIA, but they were like really biased towards NVIDIA, so a lot of times if you wanted the ideal Second Life experience, you'd get an NVIDIA card. But I always hated NVIDIA as a company because of all their like underhanded shenanigans where they would like just do all this stuff to kind of like sabotage their competitors, AMD in particular. And AMD was sort of like the polar opposite of NVIDIA, a more like socialist kind of corporation that was doing all these humanitarian things. Like their CEO was like part of the OLPC project, like trying to get laptops for kids in the third world, which now in retrospect, my eons later of activism and analysis of geopolitical affairs, it all seems so like absurd to me, like, and arrogant, the idea of getting laptops into the hands of people who can barely afford to feed themselves. But you know, like, the sentiment is meaningful, I guess. I don't know. I'm just so cynical now. Man, this sim sucks. Sorry, but it's just like there's nothing here. And the title like really does not in any way reflect what's here. Sorry, didn't mean to totally bottom out on the... It's not even a valley. It's called Nature Valley, and it's like an island. Like, do you see a valley here? I don't. Alright, the search continues. But, yeah, so I was definitely an AMD fan. And a few years ago, I don't know what the hell they got into their heads. Actually, I know exactly what they got into their heads. They were trying to figure out a way to make more money and create more like brand loyalty and stuff. So they released this ridiculous software suite along with their drivers called Catalyst Control Center. And then that eventually became something else. I can't even remember. Oh yeah, Adrenaline. Then it was Adrenaline. And then now it's just called, let's see, what is it called? Radeon Software. And it's like basically the same exact thing, only repackaged. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because the first time I installed that Catalyst Control Center, it just totally fucked up my computer. And like, I don't know what it was exactly with the software, but for some reason it okay, Heavenly Call. I'm gonna try this out. It the software, what it does is it's kind of like an intermediary between, I guess, the driver and whatever your computer is using the GPU for. And so it does stuff like post-processing and like tries to take over a lot of the native sort of controls and functions. And I don't know why, but that just really did not work with pretty much all the games that I was playing at the time. So I just suddenly, my computer went from working perfectly with the bare drivers to being totally useless, and I couldn't I couldn't play any games because they would just crash because of this Catalyst Control Center. So I was like, alright, getting rid of that. I uninstalled it and just installed the bare drivers, and everything went back to normal. Everything was fine, totally fine. Didn't have any problems. And then every once in a while, of course, you need to update your drivers, especially if you're playing like a modern game. I was playing No Man's Sky at the time, and that game is so cutting edge with all its procedural stuff and tessellation and OpenGL and God knows what else. There's nothing here on this island. It's just like a tropical paradise. There's one little campfire way the hell over here. Actually, this is good because I'm finding sims with next to nothing on them, which means that I can totally just devote all of my brain power to talking about this video card problem. That's kind of nice, even though I think I've seen this prop before. Alright, moving on. Heavenly Call was not really so heavenly. It was just, well, I guess it was kind of heavenly, absent of any sort of excessive visual stimulation. Yeah, so I had to keep updating my drivers, and every time it was like, it was getting harder and harder to install just the drivers and avoid the AMD's stupid software that, like, I didn't want, and I think probably a lot of people didn't want, but AMD was just like, how can we get yet another hand into the gamer's pants, you know, pretty much, because, like, the more control they have, the more avenues they have for promoting their products and stuff, and the more, like, influence they're going to ultimately have. I mean, NVIDIA did the same stuff. That's the reason I hated NVIDIA. They were doing shit like that all the time. Like, yeah, anyway, I digress. But anyway, so I updated my drivers again recently because I had to for some reason. I can't remember why. And now, like, you can't even install the bare drivers anymore. It's like you have to install this AMD Radeon software to install your drivers. It's like the Radeon software is kind of what manages and installs the drivers now. I mean, if you're just a basic user, like, there's actually still ways to install the drivers by themselves by extracting them out of the exe file, but or the zip archive that the Radeon software provides. Anyway, I ended up doing that, and it sort of solved the problem, but not really. Okay, Violin Sky. I'm gonna try this. Getting the grand tour today. Okay, a bondage cross right off the bat. That's not a good sign. But yeah, bottom line is, like, I just gave up. I was like, okay, fine, AMD, you win. Like, I can't avoid installing the software anymore. And eventually they're going to make it even more impossible to just install the drivers. So I'm like, okay, even if my system's unstable, I'm going to try to, like, work within the context of this software I don't even want. And I kind of want to go over here and just, like, walk up this thing and see what... It's like, literally, there's the kit to, like, res the thing that someone bought off the marketplace. It's kind of cool, though. It's, like, everything included. Texture mapping is, like, pretty low pref, but it's still, like, conceptually, it's kind of cool. Right, there's no, like, path up to the top. Lame. It reminds me of, like, something that you'd see in Skyrim, only with, like, graphics from 1995. Yeah, I'm a bit salty this morning. It's because I haven't had enough caffeine. Yeah, another big screen TV. Is that like the guard dog or something? I'm just like clicking on all the doors. I don't even care that I'm already inside. I just, I like to click on doors. God, there's nothing in this house. This is a metaphor for my, exploration today. Okay, I'm gonna go upstairs and it's gonna be empty. Yeah, so I drilled down deeper and deeper. Seriously, like the baby's room is the only room that really has anything in it. God, those doors are slow. Come on. How many baby rooms do you need? Right, I'm gonna try to fly out this window if I can. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to escape. Nope. Fine, I'm just gonna teleport out. Yeah, so I started to drill down through the software, and I literally went in and turned off every single thing that I could, because clearly there was something that the software was doing that was interfering with my GPU's ability to actually make games run without crashing. Wow, is this even the same place? I can't. It's so similar to the one I just left. Yeah, so I turned off everything, all the assistant stuff. I was surprised they actually had a checkbox for turning off the advertisements, which was kind of interesting. Nice snapshot. And that seemed to work for a while. Like, after I turned all that stuff off, it didn't crash, and then it crashed again yesterday. So I don't know. Like, is it really possible for the software to, like, brick my video card? I don't know. I'm just gonna scan this quickly. That looks pretty cozy. Yeah, it's the same house. They just, like, copied the house and then decorated it differently. Oh, there's some kind of magic card game here. Oh, it's like tarot. Interesting. Never seen that in Second Life. It's a really nice stand. I like the texturing's not great, but it's a great design. The topology's really good. Why am I waiting for the doors? I'm a ghost. It's a nice hydrangea. Very sparsely decorated, so like the polar opposite of that mansion I visited the other day, where it was just like chock full of amazing assets. Really shows you the diversity. Even in virtual worlds, like the economic disparity between people is apparent, you know. Kind of a quest in progress here. What is this? Some kind of one of those money-making schemes in Second Life where you buy like a pet or a plant or something that requires food that you have to purchase. That's cool. Got a farm. There's somebody over there, so I'm just gonna use the eye in the sky to kind of like scope out this other structure. Yeah, so in other news, I came up with a special designator for what happens to people who haplessly happen to be enjoying their private property while Neo Toy Story comes along. It's like they basically just got Neo'd. That's what I'm calling it. So if I visit your sim and you find out about it later, you got Neo'd. And if you found out about it while it was happening, you got Neo'd too. So both ways. Alright, so I think I've seen there's like 3 houses on this sim. Or 4. Alright, here we go. Here's one of the pathway that goes all the way to the top. That's what I'm talking about. You make a mountain, and then there's a path winding up it. It should go all the way to the top, am I right? I mean, it's just wrong if it doesn't. Little alchemist laboratory here. Yeah, so I guess today's one of those days where I'm basically just rapid cycling from sim to sim and not really like exploring individual sims as much, but I mean that's just inevitable given how chaotic the grid can be. That's kind of a cool device. I wonder, what is this? Some kind of metal parchment making station. Oh, that's so cool. So that's like a paper pulper. And there's the pulp in there, the wood fiber pulp. Huh. Interesting stuff going on here. Occultic sort of vibe to it. Those lights are so trendy. Yeah, so this sim's kind of like, I don't know, a lot of potential, but kind of squandered. But you know, whatever makes you happy. Yeah, so I don't know what's up with my video card. Really. I mean, when you really think about it, like CPUs and video cards, they're pretty much like magic. I mean, yeah, it's science. It's hard science. It's super science, really, if you wanna get right down to it. Like, there's only a handful of people in the whole world who can design these GPUs and CPUs and like know how they work completely. And like they're so labyrinthian. There's just like, I mean, billions of transistors. All those little pathways. It's insane. Like, that they work at all is miraculous. And then that's just the hardware layer, right? Then there's the software abstraction that runs on top of the hardware. And that too is labyrinthian. Millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of lines of code sometimes to create all these little pixels and stuff on the screen. It's just... Okay, fine. I'm a sucker. I'm gonna go to a garden sim. Dryfrin Gardens. Let's see if I can go there. Whoa. Some beautiful tropical looking water there. They stuck me in a little penalty box. I hate when this happens. So like, I can't actually tour the sim, but I can see everything from the penalty box, so it's kind of ludicrous. It's a really nice cliff face. I mean, here the textures are kind of stretched out, pixelated a little, but the topology is pretty solid, and the waterfall's fairly realistic. Kind of a Asian aesthetic here. Looks like a massage table. Little tea set. I don't know, hot chocolate. Marshmallows. I know those are sugar cubes. What am I on? What kind of crack am I on? Yeah, so this is like a resort kind of thing happening here with the massage paradise. The obligatory bar. Uh-oh, they know my weakness. Alright, let's see what they're reading. Socialism. Mathematical methods for physics. Sea and shore. Pretty much the same books over and over again. Quantum mechanics. Okay. These little footbridges are nice. That reminds me, there's this one build project I want to work on soon. I've saved the image, so I've got my source material, but I just haven't gotten around to starting on the topology. But it's this tensegrity bridge that Leonardo da Vinci designed. And apparently, I guess these MIT students decided that they were gonna build a model in real life and test it to see if the physics would rationalize and the mechanical, structural engineering, and stability were all like valid. So they built a model, like a scale model from these plans that Leonardo had left behind. And apparently it worked. So anyway, the reason I want to build it is just because it's such a cool design, and I thought it would be kind of a neat addition to Second Life. But God, that's creepy. What the hell? Like on this little like paradise, and there's this like horribly disgusting like corpse in an abandoned well. Wow. There's a little dark secret tucked away there. Skeleton in the closet. And they got the haunted house, manor house over here. And they got the that's kind of a cool prop. Is that cheesecake? Great, now I'm like drooling. Empty fridge. That's like the true test. The fridge test. I'm just gonna leave all these open. Don't worry about it though, actually. For once I'm not being a complete asshole, because a lot of the animations that govern those prop interactions are localized. So like, even though it's Second Life is kind of an MMORPG in a way, like if somebody's just going through your building and clicking on your doors and stuff, they only open for the client. They don't like open for everybody. Certainly not for the sim owner. Although there's actually a way to script props and doors and all that stuff in Second Life, so they are non-localized, and that they're actually like affected for everybody simultaneously. So you never know, but in general, when people script things, they script them to only be affected locally by per client, not globally. Wow, this mansion has a lot of floors and a lot of empty rooms. No surprise there, because you know, if you think about it realistically, say somebody does like actually RP on the sim, and this building has some sort of significance to them. Maybe they go into it every once in a while. Rarely, very rarely, I think, are they actually gonna like walk all the way up to the attic. That's kind of an interesting thought experiment or case study, because like when you're building an asset for a virtual world, probably like 80-90% of it is wasted space, right? That's kind of weird. I think I saw all the houses already. That was fast. Yeah, another like entire sim that basically just has a handful of props. A handful of houses. That's a nice barn, but I feel like I've seen it before. Oh, a greenhouse. I can't believe I almost missed a greenhouse. See, I'm at the bounds, like the bounds of, I can't actually move my camera any farther because, since I'm in that penalty box on the edge of the sim, the only way that I could see into this greenhouse is if I change my draw distance. And I'm honestly not that excited about it, so I'm just gonna consider this sim conquered. Huh, I don't think I saw this. That's way on the outer bounds. I can't even get close to that. Oh, I missed this house too. Yeah, sometimes things that are really far away from your avatar take a while to res, so unless you up your draw distance to max, you don't always see everything on the sim at first glance. You have to like kind of explore for things to pop in. There were some hidden surprises in this sim. Oh, that hedge is pretty cool. I mean, it's just sprites, but surprisingly effective visually. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen just about everything there is to see in this sim. There's a little secret room up here. Maybe a work in progress or who knows what. Sometimes people res stuff or they build stuff and it just gets lost in the space, but like you don't want to auto return every single thing on the sim because then you'll lose all your hard work. So you just kind of like are like, oh, maybe it's out there somewhere, I don't know, counting against your total quota of prims that you can have available. No one would ever know it was there unless someone like me is snooping around the sim and just happens to come across it. Terra Delta, that sounds kind of familiar. I'm not sure if I've been there or not. Let's see what my time's like. How long have I been streaming for? 44 minutes already, damn. Time really flies when you're talking about the intricacies of microchips and video cards. You see these bright yellow regions? That's land for sale. on the sim, so I've been just sort of like systematically kind of ignoring those, because if they're selling land on their sim, it's likely that it's not like a unique project that has some sort of completion to it, and it's just it's something that, I don't know, is kind of a work in progress. I'm having trouble talking. Okay, Magic Land. Let's try this. Alright, I'm going back to plains temporarily to get a little more map speed. Also, I think this is kind of a good place to, like, an origin point to explore the grid from. I keep going out to the farthest edges of the grid, but I'm thinking it might actually be a better strategy to kind of explore closer to the plains. I mean, I'm missing a lot of sims, and admittedly the density is probably highest near the mainland. Okay, release. Let's see if we can go here. Right, this looks kind of like a strip mall. I know there's a lot of nostalgia for malls and stuff. Like millennials and Generation Xers and boomers definitely, to some extent, sort of grew up in this era of malls being this like central cultural thing. But well, this, I don't know, this looks kind of weird, like the shop is disintegrating or something. Huh. This is like that one I saw in that house. Yeah. Anyway, what I was getting around to is that like, malls are kind of cool and all, but I don't know, I think they're kind of fetishized in Second Life in a way that kind of detracts from, yeah, that wouldn't work in real life. I don't know, I just feel like there's so much potential in Second Life for things to be really amazing, and yet just like kind of recreating these, in my opinion, mediocre urban artifacts like malls, shopping centers. It's kind of a tragedy in a way, I guess. Like, consumerism's not a big enough part of real life. It's got to also dominate the virtual world. And of course, like, there's a very good reason for that. It's because economics drives everything. What's that, like, that hip-hop line, like, money moves everything around me, or something like that. I'm probably misquoting. Like, if civilization can't get beyond that, it's like, wow, an actual resident, like, shopping? Or maybe just standing around? Yeah, I gotta admit, this is one of the less, like, pulled together and aesthetically appealing malls I've seen in Second Life. In fact, it's pretty bad, to be honest. I mean, I can see that they tried to make it awesome, but no, not really. Kind of failed. Sorry for the pan review, but I don't know, this scene with like the skyscrapers that are kind of like falling over, so like the Fist of the North Star kind of post-apocalyptic thing is kind of cool, but overall, this is just way too fragmented. I mean, it looks like there was a big explosion in the middle of the sim and everything just started to like blow outwards and drift away in like a way that looks more accidental than planned. So, yeah, that's kind of why I don't think it really works very well. And it's called release, but like it's clearly the Jin Island is like the only major feature on the sim. So I don't know, just kind of incoherent, I guess. I mean, look at how much stuff it looks like is going on from the thumbnail, but I don't know, maybe they lost a bunch of stuff. I mean, maybe they are like renovating or something in between thumbnails. Lotus Blossom. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to go more inward because I was certainly missing a lot of cool sims in the center. So if this particular video produced any benefit to me so far, it's maybe changing my exploration strategy a little. God, there's got to be a lot of those Elysian fields in here. That's like a very common theme in Second Life. Fantasy Paradise, okay. There's some purple. I gotta say, like, the combination of those words raised so many red flags for me, but you don't see this purple landscape very often, so I'm gonna go there and see. Nope. Alright, back to Plain Plains. The reason I keep going back to Plain Plains is when you're in the world map, wherever you are, it affects the performance of the whole viewer, including world map browsing. So if you're in a place like Plain Plains where it's really low impact in terms of resources, you can navigate much more smoothly and easily in the map, and things load quicker, etc. Like, it's kind of weird actually, but the map actually lags when you're on a sim that's like really resource intensive. You think it would kind of be a separate part of the, like, the GUI of Second Life wouldn't be affected by the background, but it's not the case. Like, the entire view, or pretty much everything that's going on within the window, is affected. So checking out some of these regions that are really close to the mainland, kind of on the outskirts of the mainland, might be interesting. Dragon Moon with an info hub. Kind of curious, but not a big fan of dragons. I think I'm going to try to limit the video to like an hour, so I've got about 7 minutes left. I'm actually getting kind of hungry and tired. I'm going to have breakfast pretty soon. Gonna have some fun today. In real life, I'm going to do something that I haven't done very much. It's something that I really wanted to do a lot when I was younger, and that is to play some Magic the Gathering. All throughout high school, my friends were playing Magic the Gathering, and I was just sort of the spectator and didn't really want to learn, I guess, at the time, but also kind of enjoyed watching, even though I didn't really understand what was going on. And then later on in my life, I was like, man, I really wish that I had learned how to play Magic, and then I could have played along. And now, luckily, just due to completely random circumstances, I met somebody who wants to learn how to play too, and so we're trying to like play every once in a while together, which is kind of fun. We've only played like 2 games so far, I think, I totally got my ass kicked both times, but I don't care because honestly, I'm not like super competitive anymore like I used to be when I was younger, but nowadays it's just kind of like, I don't know. There's more to life than competition. That's sort of how I feel about it. Competition is like something that works well when you're young and full of hormones. God, I might just end up like the Omega Concern. That sounds familiar. I think I've seen like a shop that was selling stuff from there. Fairy Dreams. Okay, fine. I'm gonna go here. It's a little bit better than Fantasy Paradise. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Security orb. Damn. I'm gonna get booted. It's probably like some kind of RP sim. Well, I don't know. It doesn't look too exciting. I still would have liked to have explored it a little. Gave me another message. So maybe I won't be booted? It's a long 15 seconds. Nice flowers. I blocked that orb. Oh, I got booted. That was a long 15 seconds. You know, one thing I've never done is like just TP'd to a sim over and over again to like view stuff in this 15-second space. I mean, that would be crazy, I think, but something you could definitely do. I know there are actually like some gray market ways around those security orbs, but honestly, I've never been that interested. I think the most like black markety thing I've ever used in Second Life was an invisibility cloak. We know all about Peculiar. This would really speed things along if the grid would stay loaded, like cached. I can't believe every single time I open the map I have to like reload all these images, and like they don't refresh them very often. I think it's like once a month or something. So seriously, like why force the viewer to reload? Alright, I didn't even read the name of this sim. Near a myth. It's a store apparently. Great. Looks like just a bunch of generic bodies for people who like steroids and anorexia. I tell you, there's nothing more disappointing than going to a store sim. I'm gonna fly over to this other mall on the other side, and like it's an entire sim, and the only thing that's there is a single building in the middle that's just like a store full of crap. Oh my god, this is so not interesting. But admittedly, that's not the point, right? The point is for people to buy stuff, so I'm sure it's perfectly good for what it is. It's just not, it's not something that appeals to me at all. Architectura, I guess. This seems kind of intriguing. Let's see if I can go here. Oh, it's just like a bunch of prims. All. Well, it's kind of cool as a conceptual. I'm like stuck floating in space. Whatever. It's one of the nice things about Second Life, for those who've never actually tried it before. No matter what you want to say about the quality of the assets, in terms of just 3D modeling live in a collaborative environment, it's probably the most user-friendly and powerful platform available even today. You can just go to a sandbox and start building, create cubes, or like this person did on the sim, just like layering all these primitives on top of each other and creating this like area. It's really easy. It's like anybody can do it. And some people are better than others, obviously, but it's pretty amazing. Like, you got the power of a god, pretty much, in Second Life. And then the more you learn, the more sophisticated you can make your builds. The sky's the limit. You can just learn more and more and more and get into mesh and UV rigging, all that stuff. It's all available in Second Life. Shaders. But this is cool just to see, kind of like, without any advanced knowledge whatsoever, just the most basic tools in Second Life and a basic understanding of how the system works. You could build something like this in a matter of hours. Actually, probably a matter of minutes, really, if you were fast. 'Cause this is a pretty basic build. Yeah, anyhow, I don't know. I think it's cool. So yeah, let's see. 1 hour and 2 minutes. Yeah, so five days. Wow. I don't know if I can keep going for another, 26 days, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm having fun so far. I hope you guys are too. Yeah, have a good rest of your Sunday. Neotoy out.